Hello everyone. Um, right, audio. Good. Okay, that's good news. Right. uh, Now I say this every time, but this is going to be a short one again. No jokes. But it probably won't be. It's not. There's some bits to go through, but it's nothing really. Well, look. Um, so key things today is V2.5 prototype, the 500 behind me. Talking through. Most of you probably know about the 500 case, checkmate case. It was pretty much what it was designed for originally. Was the 500. I'll go into that. And then there's some Patreon bits and pieces, and a question that I'm going to ask you lot. And if depending how you answer, I want you to tell me if you're a patron or a customer, regardless. Okay, if you want to put it in there, because it kind of you'll understand. Right, so let's go for Appy stuff. I don't know if Appy's online. I did send him the link. Probably see him pop up, making rude comments about me. But basically, the boards are here, and these are the V2 prototypes. And as you can see there, I've put them in the case. Excuse the plastics, the mounting frames. It's got a brand new metal chassis to hold these, because obviously if you look at the back, if I load this one up, if you look at the back, you can see up his back plane. So obviously there's a completely new metal chassis. I'm calling it V2.5 because it's a new chassis, but the same plastics at the moment. And this is a V2 board. The first one was experimental. This one is further on, and it pretty much all works. There is some bugs and stuff, but I've seen this working at Appy's, but I've not fired this up yet because I've been sorting out the mounting frame. And yes, I haven't made it fit the holes. I just made it so you can just get to it. It's better for just accessing it and so on. The top one, Appy moved some ports, so I've had to hack my model about, but I'll correct that in the next version. So again, don't worry about the plastics. It's just experimenting at the moment. But as you can see, they're there. It's in, and so expect to see some testing videos coming. Does this mean it's ready yet? No, not at all. Well, you know, it's on the road. But what we're hoping is, once I've been through experimenting and playing with this, because you know it's like the technician plays, it's like a developer. You develop something, you hand it to someone, they find problems, usability things, that kind of thing. So I'm going to play with this for a week or two, and then me and Appy will be going through it, putting that all into version 3 of the boards, which I'm hoping will be ready for Kickstarter. They won't be a product ready, but they should hopefully be ready for Kickstarter launching, because obviously these are quite comprehensive boards. Let me show you this one. This is the top one. Not going to go into great details about it, but you can see anyone that says, oh, it's GPS, that's rubbish. Yeah, you don't know what that is then, do you? So that's a new microcontroller that replaces the controller on the board and massively improves it. Latency does, just works miracles. But you'll notice on this picture here, when hopefully you can see my mouse, yeah, that is a CGA EGA connector, 9-pin. That's an RGB SCART, also with composite and audio, which we're rerouting everywhere, or the royal we, obviously Appy. And then there's a component input which can handle interlace and non-interlace. So that's the crux of the main part there. And that's going to do an awful lot just in that one system. The bottom one, as you can see, it's the breakout board. It's still experimental. Don't take what you see there as necessarily what it's going to end up as, but you can see we're working, doing some experimentation. And so it's coming on nice. And so hopefully I'll get a chance this week. I spent the weekend getting all this put together, and because it takes 8 or 10 hours to print these bloody things off with the printer, and it kept going wrong, and it was sliding the thing. Oh, nightmare. That's why I haven't done the mount tray. In fact, if you look, you can't probably see it, but up there I've just got the actual panel controller to mount, and it keeps buggering it up. I think I've thrown it downstairs, haven't I? So my printer's being a bit of a dick at the moment. But yeah, so making good progress. I obviously really want to get this thing going, but we've got to get it right. Now, one thing, let me see if anyone's actually questions. So, audio's okay. Hello, solid audio intro. So, how short is it? Oh, yeah, very good. Right. So, let's. I think what should we do next? So, yeah, the monitor's coming on. I am going to start working on the design of the plastics as well, because if you remember rightly, the button when the button didn't work, and all that stuff at the bottom, the control stuff, didn't really do anything. It's just kind of sitting there. So I'm going to start prototyping that while we're working on V3. I'm actually going to get that. I may do a new set of plastics, a V3 pan. I can call it the V3 prototype with new plastics. Some tweaks to the design of the monitor. At the moment, 450 people on the waiting list for it, so obviously there's a lot of interest. And I usually say 500, round up to the nearest 100, but it is about, I think it's 446 or something like that, whatever it is. But yeah, quite a lot of people showing interest, so that's all good news. But I obviously want to get that thing launched. But I have to finish the design so I can work out the price, etc., etc., etc. And Apple's stuff is obviously quite complex, so we need to get that finished, and you know where we are. Right, okay, so that's that. Let me now let me go on to these. Let's see if it'll just drop it in here nicely for me. Yeah, kind of did. Right. So what I want to talk about now is, let me scroll these up. What I want to do is go through. Now, if you look behind me there, there's my, that's my original Checkmate 1500 one, the first production one that came off the line. I put my 500 in, I kitted it all out, but I've kind of gone a bit old school with it now, because of the whole business with this PS2 keyboard adapter. I think I put his name, Carl Clark. I always get back. I want to get it around the right way. Carl Clark, yeah. He's been selling these and other little devices like little you can't probably see that, but little USB to 9-pin, so you can plug not all, but a lot of USB mice into the back and use it. My interest was the PS2 keyboard adapter for the Amiga. Now I put this picture on the screen so that what all he's basically done is he's taken his existing design and he's made it so it works in my case. So it's a longer board chip. This is very much literally a handmade prototype. But we've tested it, it's all working great. So he's ordered the actual boards. They should be coming a couple of weeks, something like that, 2 or 3 weeks, something like that. Anyway, so one of the problems you get is when you're building an Amiga 500 into one of my cases, it's not inexpensive. Sorry, but it isn't. The 500 is actually better than the 1200. So if you want to put it in, you need to buy one of my keyboard cases. If you've got a working Amiga 500 keyboard, let's stick to 500. If you've got a working Amiga 500 keyboard, you buy my case. I think it's about 60 quid plus VAT. You look on the website. But you also need this cable kit, which is about 25 quid. which is a whole lot of cables and extensions and all kinds of thing. And that's not too bad. For the 500, it's not too bad actually. But if you're doing it for the 1200, it gets really expensive. So you have to have the case, and then you have to put. What we tend to do is, you probably know this, but I'm just doing this on repeat for people who don't know. This is a thing called a key raft from individual computers, and that is designed. No, this isn't designed. My keyboard case is designed to mount this inside. I've got a video on it, and you can plug. It's got slots here, so you can plug the membrane, the ribbon cable from the 1200 into that, and then it has a USB output. So right, so you've got that. That then becomes a USB keyboard, which is brilliant. Well, bearing in mind these are about 35-40 quid. You've got by the case now, but at the other end you need to plug into the Amiga via USB, which then means you need something like a SUM adapter, which plugs into the 1200, clips on a chip. They're very hard to get, probably 40 quid. So it starts getting quite expensive. Right, I've been trying to make it cheaper for people. So now this little adapter is going to be about 20 quid, right? It's going to come with that. Now at the back, I think I've got a picture. You can see at the back is a little 3D printed bit like a spacer, and then this screws it. This hole was actually made for my cable kit, which is a bigger connector, but we made it. We've got an adapter which Carl's made, which I'm going to 3D print. Basically, just put it in there, and then it's a really firm fit, and you plug any PS2 keyboard into it, and it becomes an Amiga keyboard. Now, it's multi-key. It knows about control Amiga. It's all that kind of stuff. And if you're interested, look on my group, my Facebook group. There's a link, details about a link to his site. You can have a look and whatever. I will put more information up there once I'm done. Now, key thing about this, see. The key thing about this is that this is only about 20 quid for this adapter, and that's it. And then if you've got a PS2 keyboard, brilliant. But I've got a stock, probably 50 keyboards, and what I'm going to do is include a budget one. Let's put it that way. It'll be included in the pack. The pack is actually kind of ready to go live. I'm just doing some tweaks to the page, but basically it's the case, a power supply, the ATX adapter, okay, ATX adapter, the keyboard, sorry, this PS2 keyboard adapter, and one of these budget white keyboards. I don't have any black keyboards, they're all white. I've also got a pack of stickers that you can put on the keys to give them the Amiga A. You know what I mean? They're not perfect, but they're not too bad. They do cover up them bloody old Windows keys. So that pack's going to be there's a little bit cheaper than if you bought them separately, and when you buy it, you instantly get 5% discount. So if you're in Europe, right, that'll cover the cost of your import duty. Okay. So yeah, that's coming live pretty soon. As you can see, now this is mine. As you can see, what I've done here, I've got one of my power supplies in it. Again, that's what will be part of the pack. It's a little bit overkill, but it's designed so that it can cope with the low power draw of the Amiga. But if you start putting things in like DVD drives, I mean, this is actually powering that little board at the back. Now, that little extender, the ID extender, doesn't come with it, okay? But you see I've got a Terrible Fire 536 in there, which is not a bad little board. You can see I've got the little adapter in the adapter board, and it plugs in the rear, as you're probably aware. And so what you've got there is a pretty nice little Amiga. Now that runs, I think, actually, if you like the Amiga 500, that's not a bad little system. And this is one of the Cherry. This isn't the one that's going to come with it. It may be an optional upgrade or something, because I've only got 8 of these, and I paid quite a lot for them, so I'm probably going to sell them, probably 20 quid extra or something like that. If you want to upgrade to one of them and get that, it's a nicer keyboard. But the ones that are going to come with it work fine. They look alright, you know, they're okay. But this is Cherry as well. So, but as I said, I've only got 8. I may even do it the first 8 that ship to get them quick. It will say at the moment I've actually got it with these, and it will say Cherry. So I might just do it like that, just gone, and then we'll go on to the other ones. And so first come, first serve. But yeah, as for the little adapter separately, probably, because if people have bought them, as I said, they're about £20, but it's not worth just ordering that because my shipping charges are really silly. But if it comes to that, maybe we can do something, get them to Europe anyway. So what else have we got here? Some other shots. So you got that. Well, that's inside. You've seen that, and you can see you can put a DVD player in it. It's gonna come with three of the. I'm pointing at the screen. It's gonna come with the 3.5-inch drive. So you obviously plug your drive in. That would normally be blank, but I'm going to include that DVD panel and the internal mount frame. So as part of this pack, so you're getting quite a lot in there. The moment I've got it at $299 at the moment, which is about a £25 discount off if you bought everything separately, maybe a bit more than that. But then you instantly get another 5% discount anyway. So it's not a bad little pack. But that's pretty much everything it needs. If you've got 500 with a working mouse and a working floppy drive, then away you go. Now the only thing is your floppy drive leads may need to be longer. I don't know. I mean, it's fairly close to where that port is. You may have to play around with that. But I think it makes, lots of people buy 500s, and I just think this might be a nice way to do it. Hey, another close look. So you can see my power supply with the logo down the side. Yeah, that makes a nice little system actually. I mean, you can see it sitting behind me. Another shot of a little shot. Oh look, a top down. Yeah, excuse my spaghetti cabling. Suppose I really should have tidied it up a little bit, but I suppose one thing I could point out. Oh, let's go to the pictures first. So here's the back. Here you can see the PS2 keyboard, and there's the little compact flash card. Excuse me. You'll notice the power plug here. People say all the time, "Oh, what if I touch it?" Don't touch it. But if you touch the 12-volt line, it'll be just like putting a wet finger on the old 12-volt batteries. It's nothing. Yeah. So I've been saying it for a while. Design a little plug at the back. I mean, now it's typical, isn't it? Selfish bugger. I mean, now I've got that sitting there. I might do one and just let everyone have the. I might even do it with. Might even do it in it. Oh, let wait and see. And of course, then it looks like that, which I think is. I think it makes that keyboard actually goes quite nicely with it. And it, again, as I said, I've only got 8 of them, the cherry ones, but the other ones are okay. There's nothing wrong with them. They work beautifully. This one just looks nicer. It does look like the colours are identical, but it's not. It is a white keyboard, whereas obviously my case is oyster white. So yeah, don't. That's a bit deceiving, that picture. In fact, actually, to be fair, that's probably a better one. Look, there you go. See, it's white compared to oyster white. And you can see this one. My case is a bit battered here. Look at that. I've got a little mark there. Yeah, it's been knocked about a bit. That's been all over the place. Yeah, so let me just show you how it connects. So basically what you've got is, again, remember, this is a prototype board, and it'll be a nice little green board, and it'll look really good. There's an 8-way ribbon cable that plugs into the board and then goes straight into the socket, picks up all the signals, okay? And then there's you can't see them here, but there's one lead coming out for power, and there'll be 2 sets of pins. One for power, as you can see, which is working, and the other one's for floppy drive access. So if you want to connect the other light on here to the floppy, so you can see the floppy drive access beeping, or to your hard drive or whatever, however you configure your system. So yeah, I think it looks quite nice. I mean, I'm biased, obviously, but I think it makes just makes a nice little system. But frustratingly, I haven't had this thing up and running for probably a year. It's not been set up; it's been sitting underneath. Now, of course, I may include the risers as well in the package, because if you can get yourself a small PS2 keyboard, and bear in mind it has to be PS2. If you can get a small PS2 keyboard, then you can slide it underneath. So we'll see about that. But if you're interested, get in touch. But anyway, enough of the selling. Right, let's see if there's any questions. Audio's okay. Hello, solid and trash. Does power get delivered to the board via that ISA slot? ISA style slot. Absolutely no idea what you mean. But the power is delivered via the usual, this little board here. Okay, that's our little ATX adapter board. Now we do one with a Zorro, and people kind of go, oh, there's Zorro, you know, because it doesn't support all Zorro cards. It just doesn't, right? Because no way it can. It supports a lot, but the difference in price is really the cost of the extra board, and those sockets cost a £5 each. They're really expensive. But you know, if you're gonna just put something like a terrible file or something like, you don't need it, that's perfectly good enough. Okay, and it does the job really well, and it's a lot cheaper. Regarded them. Oh, sorry. Yes. Right. Let's go back to the question. Then. Right. Does power get delivered to the boards via that? It's actually more of a Zorro slot, but I know what you mean. It's more of a Zorro slot because it is a Zorro type, but connectors. It's those great big connectors. And although technically, I suppose you could say ISA actually, come think of it. But yes, everything, all the video signals, all the audio are picked, and the power is all picked up. So the idea is, when you put the second board in, you just go chunk, right? Even the bottom board, you put the bottom board in, you go chunk like that. I think there's one HDMI cable connects, but everything else is handled through that socket, so it's nice and simple. So the top board, so basically if any other boards we develop will based on the same idea, and there'd also be a prototype board so people can get the designs free from us, so they'll have a template of that board with the connector and all the circuitry on it, and you just put your stuff and you'll be able to connect to all the video signals and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully it's going to be quite a lot built on that, but we'll have to wait and see how it goes, because yeah, okay, right. So let's be truthful. The slots were Appy's idea. However, a long time ago, I thought it would be really cool having a video slot because you could just plug it in. I never said to Appy anything about it, but I just thought we can't do it. It's going to cost too much money. And then when he said about doing it, I went, oh God, yeah. So I was really pleased about that. But it's literally come out of Appy. He's made that, and he's got all the video signals. Or like, for example, you've got like 2 composite inputs, you've got your component, you've got your RGB, you've got power, audio, and the idea of putting it on the board, so it's obviously it's on a board, right? We're trying to keep the noise down as much as possible, keeping everything nicely grounded, and so that's where there's an awful lot. This could just take a lot of time because of perfecting this. But we're trying to get it as close to complete as possible. The problem is, and I'm going to come on to this, the problem is it's costing a lot of money. Now, Appy's been sweet. He's going to make money if the Kickstarter success. So we have a great a deal with Appy, and he'll make money if the Kickstarter success. So he's basically doing this work for free and helping me out. But of course, it costs a lot of money to all the prototyping stuff, all the boards, everything we have to buy. I mean, I spent thousands so far, so it's not a cheap thing to do. So I'm going to come to that in a minute. But so the project's coming on really well. But then we're going to come down to a kind of an important point now. So there's no other questions, is there? I mean, yeah. Right. So let's cover this now. My problem, I've always hoped that I could increase my Patreons, okay, because I've given up my day job now. I budgeted, obviously, based on the last year's worth of sales, that I can get I'll be okay. But going from like having that salary that paid all my bills to having to take all my bills out of the company now means they've got less money for all the prototyping stuff and all the experimentation. So all the experimentation is gone, right? I have to stop. And the only thing at the moment we're experimenting on is this prototype. So I was hoping I can build my Patreons up. So I want an honest opinion, and get ready to type into the box. I don't know how many people are actually online. 27, okay. It's 27 people, right? I want an honest opinion on this. I'm thinking of making these live streams only available to my patrons and customers. So, in other words, so it's the idea being, because I'm also thinking of opening up at the moment I don't email my customers, I don't spam my customers with emails, but I'm thinking of turning on a part of the system so that you can, when you become a customer, you'll be able to, by default, you'll be opted into the mailing list, okay? But you can tick a box and then turn it off. Now, if you're a customer, you won't have seen this because it's not in there yet. And the idea being that what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on all the customers and then send an email out saying, right, we're doing this. It's probably going to be every couple of weeks or something like that. Just an update. Yes, it's going to be a sales thing, obviously. But whenever I do a live stream, I'll be sending the link out to all my customers, putting it on Patreon, and I won't be publicising them anywhere. The reason for this is I'll tell people but that'll be part of it, because I think these are quite good. But you know, sharing this information just about because I get between 30 and 50 people on these, which is fine. But then there's hundreds that watch it later, so my customers and they can continue doing this, but. It's one of those things where I just think it's something that should be for customers and patrons. I have my Facebook group, which is the marketing thing, which everyone can join in. It's all open and free. But this is where I kind of tell you everything, and sometimes this kind of tell too much. And so that's my thought. So what do you think? Do you think it's a good or bad idea? Now, before you put good or bad idea for me to make it customer and patrons only, tell me if you're a customer or patron. Be honest, right? Because I'm curious to see. So yeah, pop that into let's see if anyone actually types it in. Put it into box, or later on put it in a comment below this video. But as I said, it may become that I make this patrons, and the idea obviously is. Is that yes or no though, Joe? The idea is to make no, it's not so much exclusive. It's make it an incentive. So if you want to hear me spout about all this stuff and tell you all these things, just show you all these early pictures, at least be oh, hang on, let me turn myself back on again. Yeah, I mean it's because my patrons have been very patient. But I don't want to make this just for patrons. It's not just for patrons, because otherwise that's completely dickish, isn't it? You know what I mean? If you've spent 400 quid in product and you can't see it, no. So it's going to be customers and patrons. So I'm still a little bit undecided. But anyway, let's have a question. Right, Coolvin. Still didn't say whether that was yes or no, Martin. Can I ask a question about Checkmate Garage? My question is, would the garage fit in a 500 with an ACA Plus? Oh, you mean okay, because I watched these streams and saw you talking about them. Both day one, good as long as I still watch stream on my smart TV. No, it won't fit. Yeah. Look, he won't. Right. Okay. Let's be sorry. Because I was reading some responses. Right. Okay. You can slide Amiga 500 Plus under it. That's fine. If you want to put the thing on the side of it and you push it in, it'll go donk. But one of the reasons for, you can't see it here, if you don't push it right under, it should probably fit. So the idea with the lids was, because I've put it with an A. Right. Right, I have put that connected to the 500. You should have seen the pictures. In fact, if you go to have a look at the pictures, it means that when it's plugged in, you can't slide it right under, and that'll be the same. But it will go quite a way under. But let me get the pictures, because it's, I mean, it kind of explains it. Not that one. Go away. Let me load that up. Hang on. No. Check. Here we go. Right, let me zoom in a bit. Right. Now, you should see at the bottom, I'm pretty sure, here you go, look. Does that answer your question? So, it slides under and it's neat, okay? And in fact, the lid, because because you're seeing from the front, you can see a gap, but it's actually under quite some way, and it will go back further. You'll notice that that leg there is stopping it going further. But if you can push it quite some way, so as you're using it with the keyboard out, it'll work absolutely fine. But you can't then slide it right under with that connected. You'd have to disconnect it. Does that answer it, George? Yeah, so there you go. Mike Colvin, did that answer your question? Did you see that picture? Because yes, it will go in that position. You plug it in and it'll be fine. But if you want to slide it underneath, oh yeah, good. Okay, well, that's fine. Yeah, so the answer's yes and no, because I obviously wanted to be able to do that as well. And as you can see, well, you can see, can't you? So the answer, I think that answers it. Is it perfect? No, of course not. I mean, it's designed for standard machines, slide it underneath. But I do actually have one, but not in a box. So you might have yours in a box, it makes it difficult. But as you can see, that 590 plugs right up against it. And the front of the lid is just in line with the back of the A500 logo. So it's literally, but because of the way I took the photo, it's looking quite low. When you're sitting looking down, of course, you don't see it so much. But yes, so the answer is yes. Okay. Questions? Come on. I know this is a solution for the A500. Right, okay. Yeah, so on the 1200. Right, someone has sent me a link. I'll do it on here. Actually, let me just put it over here just for a second. I'll just find it just in case you start reading loads of private stuff. Yeah, where is he? Oh, come on, stop doing that. Yeah, because Douglas sent me this link. Here we go. Right. To answer your question. So I've actually sent this guy an email to see. There you go. So basically, it's a similar board, but it looks like it plugs over the top of a chip. It will save a lot of money because the problem of mine is if you want to use the original keyboard, you have to turn the keyboard into USB, you have to turn the computer into USB, and you have to buy the case. Whereas with this, all you do is you have this PS. That's about $30, so it's actually not very expensive. And a PS2 keyboard, 10, 20, 30 pounds. Not much at all. So my comment discourse team, but great job on the package shipping. Yeah, I did say it, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate all that because it's always nice when people. My only concern on that is that I have a delivery window. It's usually every 2 weeks. So what happens is if you order at the beginning of the 2 weeks, straight after I've just shipped, you're going to wait probably 2 weeks till it ships. But if you order on the last day, and I try and ship everything out if I can, then you think it's really quick. So I ask people not to say how quick it is because for that reason. Depends where you are in that 2 weeks. Hopefully I may increase it to once a week, but at the moment, it has to be every couple of weeks. Yeah, packaging. Yeah, well, funnily enough, you mentioned that, right? The packaging, yeah, packaging was pretty good, except for I had two destroyed on the way. Two was, well, one was actually damaged when it got there. The box was fine, so I think actually it was one that was double wrapped, and I hadn't actually noticed it was already damaged. Right? So I replaced that, and another one was absolutely, the box was destroyed. So they must have driven a car over it or threw it off a bridge or something like that. And so I sent them out as well. But I sent out nearly 100, and only I think two were damaged. Two packages were damaged. So I sent one customer ordered three black cases. And I sent him 3 white cases, thankfully the UK. So that was fun. But yeah, it's good. And what case do you? What do you think of what do you think of the garage? To be honest, I mean, I know you probably said it, but by all means, tell people here. Because the funny thing is, I sold about 100, and I've got 150 left, so I'd like to sell them. So I thought I'd have sold out, to be honest, and then have to order more, but they're not as big as sellers as I thought. But that's fine, It wasn't about making money. And to be fair, the whole plan was I wanted them ready for when the monitor was going to ship, because they look quite nice with the monitor on top. Right, cool. Can I suggest, Corvin, if you're in the UK, one, fine, yeah, no problem. If you're in Europe or America or anywhere like that, don't order one. It's more efficient to order 2 in a box. Now, it may sound, I don't want to do that. UK's fine, because I've now got it down to £7.50 shipping. Right? I'm literally cutting. It's about, in Blight, okay. I've actually dropped it for less than what it actually cost me, about £1 less than it cost me. Just to, actually, that's not true, because by the time you had the VAT. Anyway. So it's down to literally, rather than having a couple of pound on top, to allow, bits of extra. I'm trying to pin everything down. The same thing with Europe and that kind of thing. And in fact, I've mentioned this before, but I'm now calculate my packaging volumetrically, whereas before it was based on, are you ordering a case? Well, this is what it costs. You're not ordering a case, this is what it costs. It cost about the price of a case. So now it's a bit better. But my shipping never, I mean, if I ship something that's like this, right? If I ship that, it's still £8. So, bear in mind. Quality's good. I quite like the rubber feet you include. Very solid and sturdy. I plan to put CRT TV on top of mine. Yeah, quite right. I mean, yeah, those little strips. Yeah, that was just one of those things that I just thought, wow, but they got these, why not? Because I was going to put little sticky feet. But I think this thing's much better. And I went through 3 types, because some of them, as you put it, because they're just meant to go around metal, but some of them were rubbing and leaving black marks on the desk. So hopefully these don't, because I've been trying to leave marks behind. I haven't seen any. So fingers crossed they're not in the long term. But they do protect your desk. Using my 2 gauge with a pair of C120. Oh, cool. Happy will love you. Oh, that's interesting then. So, Ray, it works well with the C128. Can you post some pictures? Because my one's a C128D. Can you post some pictures of your 128s to my Facebook group, please? Because then people can see it. Or post it. Better still, post it to your Facebook groups as well. Spread the word. I think it's better to keep access to the streams open to everyone, since they might attract new customers. Is how I became. Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't say it was a great idea. It's just, the trouble is, I've got to try and get my patrons up. It's just to have that, because at the moment, in an ideal world, I'd like to get it up to. Be nice to get it up to 1,000 patrons, even the pound or dollar ones, just so it kind of it just takes some pressure off of the sales, because it means now my mind is now more I'm on sales necessarily, which is not the way I really like being. Whereas before it was just fun. I could I'll do that. Now I'm to worry about making sure everything pays. I mean. Now especially, to be honest, garages probably wouldn't have existed. I wouldn't have taken, oh, let's make £5,000 or whatever it was of, garages, and just order 250. But now I probably wouldn't have done it. So I would have been nope. Right. So any more questions? Because I can't think of much else that I want to talk about. But I'm happy to answer questions. Let me just load. Something in the background. Tell you what you could do. How about if I go here? Yeah, I'm out of focus mainly because what you're interested in is these. Now, if you're wondering, no, not that one. If you're wondering about this one here, right? That is Linux on a Pentium CPU inside my 2000. Way better than a silly bridge board. Forget your silly bridge boards. Look. And so I've got it, and it's on a network. I can share between the two machines. I'm going to have to do a video about that at some point, because this is also it's got a Vampire in that 2000. This is actually an awesome machine, that is. But again, you see, although my 1000, I know my 1000's here. Don't think you can. No, you can't see that. She's got a Vampire in, and I've got to do a video on her as well. So I've just got so much I've got to do. But yeah, that makes. If you're wondering what that monitor is, that's obviously my monitor, and it's starting to do that funny thing again, isn't it? Yeah, that's really weird. I think it might be something to do with the GBS actually. Yeah, so. That's the prototypes of the monitors, and it's got RGB SCART on the back. This is using Byron's board at the moment. So, but yeah, right. Come on, any more questions? Because otherwise I'm gonna. We have got some questions. How to C64? Those garages probably something that makes sense for me to have. I remember my dad making a wooden one for the C128 back in the day. Yeah, I know. Lots of dads did that. Thanks to your screenshot, I found one for $47 on eBay. I'm not sure what that means. Is that? Let's Stig Fosdal. Can I connect two Amigas to the monitor at the same time, or an Amiga and PC? Okay, well, because basically what you get is you get a bunch of ports on the back, and so if you connect one by VGA, one by actually, no, the VGA is on the same port. So if you connect one, for example, on right, if you plug one in, say composite, you want two, you can have one in composite. There's lots, but basically the top board that you saw, if it's in the top one, that's all the VGA. So that you have to pick one, and what it does is it automatically switches. So it's right. So if one's turned off and you switch it on, you can connect them, and then it will switch to that input. So let me see if I can load that picture. Let's go back and load that, because let me see if I can make sense of this for you. Right, let me have a look at this. Right, so at the top here, this is the GBS with all the connectors. So what you've got here is you've got a SCART ID, a SCART RGB. So if you had an Amiga plugged in via SCART RGB, now you can't do this with the same Amiga, but another one you could, and have the other one sound a component input, right? And then have a PC plugged into that. If you have them all turned on, the last one that came on would be active, because what it does, as soon as it senses a new signal, it switches to it, yeah? And it switches to it. But if you leave them all on, there's also going to be a button on the front, and you can toggle around. But you'll be toggling. I'm pointing to it. You'll be toggling around the VGA on a button. Okay, it's the different ports. Now again, this has got to be tested because it's something I want to do. But also, you can be plugged in down here. So you've got the component down here, which is actually on its own in the list. Okay, so everything on there. It's important to understand this. Everything on this board is VGA. The VGA input on the controller. But these, for example, that's the built-in component, but it's interlace only component. It's brilliant, but it's interlace only. Then you've got two composite inputs with audio, and you've got audio out. But there's also a composite out. Yeah. So if you want to put composites in and have a composite out, you can stream whatever and switch between them. It's pretty neat. These are we're still working to see if we can do this, but we have a bunch of. We've only got one HDMI on the controller itself, one. But Appy's working on designing a switcher so we can have three inputs, sorry, two inside, so you can have two inputs and two HDMIs and one externally so you can plug in, and then switch in between them. I've got a few little issues at the moment we're trying to resolve. If we get to that now, I'm not saying that's going to appear. Remember I said wait till it ships. But that's what we're trying to build into it. And also, the built-in one only has one USB, but Appy's put a switch on there so you can put two in it. I'm not sure how much use that is, but we're going to see if maybe you can put two cards into it and switch between them. You know, this is prototyping, experimenting, see what we can do. This system here ain't going to be cheap. It does help though the fact we're using GPS, because that is inexpensive, and that little controller is inexpensive. But you've got all these, you've got three boards here, quite big boards with fingers, with gold fingers obviously. Those things at the back, they're a $5 each on that back board. It's not going to be a cheap thing, but it's not going to. I don't want to give you any ideas of pricing yet, because I don't know, right? My aim is to make it so it's not expensive, but the fact of what this system will do is going to be outstanding. My original concept was this down the bottom with a separate board with a GPS and that controller, which Byron did. But when Appy came on the scene, he added all this other stuff, automatic switching, and you know what I mean, it's like really, really good stuff. So it's going to be worth it. It's not going to look, it's not going to be RetroTink. It's not going to be like as good as the RetroTink 5. If you come in thinking it's going to replace the RetroTink 5, nah, right? Is it going to be good enough for 95% of people? 90% of people I think will be happy with it. But you can also plug a RetroTink in it, should you want to. But I don't see why you'd want to, because you just want to plug it in the external HDMI if that's the case. In fact, if you're going to do that, you probably don't need this big system. So there's an awful lot we've got to think about. But that's... So I'm hoping next week... You still won't be able to tell what the quality is like. You won't have a bloody clue. And I didn't get myself a beer. You won't have a clue, because if you're watching it on here, you're not going to tell, are you? That's why I like to take it to the shows and show people. Everyone really likes it. Right, one thing. I did say that when it comes to the Kickstarter, this is going to be my default panel. I really like it. 95% of people. No, I've only had two people that didn't like it from the same place. Everybody else really likes it, the panel. But the one comment, the only comments is, I mean, it's not dark. It's 250 nits, but everyone likes to chase specs. But there is actually a 500 nits version of the same panel. Now, bear in mind, these are industrial panels, so they're not cheap, right? But they are good quality, and they're designed to be on forever. Really reliable. So that's the reason for going for them, and they look fantastic when you turn them around like that. Anyone who sees them in the flesh loves them. Okay, that's why people get excited. The other thing people get, and Neil's absolutely spot on, everyone gets excited because of all these inputs. Yeah, that's why we're doing all these inputs. The only thing that's not on there is S-Video, but if you saw my last video, I managed to track down, I bought a whole load of encoders, and I've managed to find, now you can put a tink in this, right? Stick a tink in it, no problem whatsoever. You can't buy the mini, which would be the ideal one, because it's about £70, £75, and that looks amazing, and that will plug onto the internal HDMI, and you'll get that wonderful pixel doubling. Okay, but this, if you haven't seen the video, right, you should go and watch it. It's on the channel. This is about 28 quid, right? And it's bloody good. It comes out HDMI, it goes in this video. Forget the composite, right? But it does have composite. But and what we'll be doing is making an internal mounting for this, so you can plug it internally, connect it all up, and then or it might actually be that way around, I don't know yet. So it'll be an inexpensive alternative. Now, is it going to please? I think everyone people get upset when I say things like this. I've already annoyed one person for saying what did I say? I can't remember. It was something CRT. What did I say? Because it did upset someone quite well known. I can't remember. It was not rude. I can't. It's gonna pop up. But basically, people who really like the pixel accuracy, and they want the square pixel. Well, they will be square pixels on this, right? But it's the absolute minimum lag, which I understand. You know, for those that can actually play that good. But some people like to see just how, to make it perfect for the sake of being perfect. Some people just want to make it look good. I mean, my Atari 800 with this looks amazing. I'm just over the moon. So I've got a tinker around somewhere sitting over there, but I'm quite happy with that. Yeah, that will be a plug-in. So then that'll be pretty much everything. The only things then we'll be thinking about is, I know that people have been talking to us about Silicon Graphics compatible display, and I think it's Next, which have kind of weird signals, and maybe we can do a custom board that plugs into the slot, because all you literally do, you slide it in, clonk, because that's all that happens there. I've got you can see the guide rails. Yeah, I'm going to probably try and smarten them up a little bit. But the little guardrails, they're nice and powder coated. You get your lid and you just slide it in, and it pretty much goes straight in line. It goes chunk, and you push it in, and then it's in. And then you put 2 screws in. Job's done. There's no wires. The bottom one is a bit of a lie, because the HDMI does need. It's the only thing that needs a wire. It does need an HDMI because of the signal quality. It does need an HDMI cable. Goes inside, plugs into the connector inside. But apart from that, I mean, it's chunk and away you go. And it, we're not going to be. I'm going to make sure these boards, because as you know, GBS ain't expensive. You know what they cost, $15. This little controller board is probably $3, $4, something like that. It's our boards that are going to be quite expensive, because they're a small production. They're not huge production runs. So as you can see, there's a ton of controller. You've got these massive connectors. So it's 3 boards. It's not going to be cheap, but it's not going to be ridiculous. I mean, I'm not going to say. Right, any more questions? Let's have a look, see if there are more questions. Whoa. I guess it works. Right, hang on. Oh, am I missing some? Can I get 2 megas on it? Yeah, sorry for being daft, but is the garage... Oh, okay, Joe. Is the garage a kind of case? No. It's not a case. Where's it gone? Oh, did I get rid of it? Hang on. Minimized it. Let me show you what it is. Here you go. So the garage is basically a monitor stand, okay, and you slide your computer underneath it. See how it goes underneath, and if you've got an Atari, you can see it just slides underneath. It's designed. I really designed it for the Atari and the Amiga 1200, 500s. Yeah, the STs and so on. It was, and to the point of down the side, you see the little MIDI cables. If it's got enough room for you to put. Let me just zoom that up so you can see it a little bit better. There we go. If you see underneath the little MIDI cables, right angle MIDI cables, then you could put them all behind and hide them. It's just, that's what it's meant to do. BBC Micro. I mean, it looks silly when you put it underneath these, but for example, you could put do that, slide it underneath. You could put the 590 or other things into the side, but it won't go right under now. But if you've got it on its own, I haven't got a picture actually sliding it under. But if you get they will all slide right underneath and hide the keyboard, so it covers it at the same time. So technically, it's a monitor stand. Okay, they do fit. I have both a C120 waves of the garage. Probably something that makes sense to me. Though. Yeah, I've read that. Thanks, screenshot found one on eBay. Can I connect to Amigas? Yeah, I've done that. Monitor stand. Hopefully that covers it, Joe. The A1200 keyboard adapter. Oh, sorry. Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's good. Because it is a bit of a. It's not like I feel guilty, but it's when I sell my keyboard case, you do end up with a great looking system with the original keyboard, and it does look really good. Cost a fortune. Absolute fortune to use your keyboard. I mean, it's like ridiculous money. So this, I think, is a better way, more an inexpensive way. Thoughts come in with a Tandy. I don't know. EX, HX, have no idea. But the measurements are here. Yeah, there's the measurements. All right, I'll leave them up there. But it's on my website. Go and have a look at the website, and you can read all that. A thought came to me. No, I've done that, and other wedge shapes like the Sinclair. Yeah, anything that's look. There's the dimensions. Anything that'll slide under there. As I said, I designed it really with the Amiga 500 and 1200 in mind, and the Atari ST, mainly because I've got one, and it just everything then fit underneath. Now my Atari 800 will not fit underneath. Okay, it won't go underneath, which is a bummer actually. But you know, there you go. But I couldn't make it. Couldn't keep making it bigger. Stick a tink in it is a phrase I never thought. Yeah, that's true. It's the dimension of computers I have on hand. Okay, CRT purist. That was it. Well done, Happy. Yeah, I actually meant no harm by it. What I meant was people who love the CRTs, you know, really love them, and want to show off how good they are. The purists, but this person in question seriously took offence. And I hadn't mentioned the person either. I hadn't mentioned at all. It wasn't, and he was just assumed I was talking about him. But no. But I look. I have a different opinion on CRTs. I have my original 1084 that I used many years ago and destroyed my eyes. I have 2 or 3 others. I have at the garage on display. You'll see in the backgrounds. I never use them. I hate CRTs. The CRTs are great if you're playing demos and if you're playing low resolution games. They are great because literally for the reasons that yes, they are zero latency, but they have that pixel thing that's really nice, that people design games to work with the, I don't want to say the failings of the CRT, but the way it bleeds the colours together a bit because of the way it works, and they kind of took advantage of that. So, oh, my camera's gone. And so I totally understand why people love them, you know, for games. But oh, are you not coming back on? No, I think you are coming back on. Yeah, there you are. I understand people love them. I have a different opinion on them. I mean, and I love that 19-inch display. I mean, I don't know about you. I just think that looks awesome. Actually, I'm pointing you. I'm showing you it, and you probably can't. So let me just switch over to chat. I know you can see it. Of course you can. That 19-inch square display. I think it because they are square pixels as well. And what we've done is we've I've been through this before. But what we do is we double the pixels exactly. I got them to change it. So there's an actual 4, because everyone knows, all the smart people telling me, that's 1280 by 1024. That's actually 554. Yeah, well, I've been calling it 4.3. But yes, I can. But we do have a mode, and we have a 4.3 mode, and it literally took me ages to get to do it, but actually it's bars at the bottom and top, and they double pixels. So what we're doing is so if you're running a 320, we have a pixel perfect mode that literally drops it in the middle, but then we're going to have a double and a triple, and literally it won't do any smoothing on it, right? It will literally double, triple, so you get that perfect pixel. That's going to be done as part of because they're doing all that stuff for me. So that's going to be really nice. Latency is bad. I mean, it's 17 milliseconds on the HDMI. I couldn't get another latency tester to try all the others, but on the HDMI it's 17.8 milliseconds. So I don't think it's too bad. It's 1/60th of a frame or something like that. So you know, not 1/60th, which is a frame. Sorry. Right. Any more questions? Yes, I did get the CRT purist. I don't mean, again, I don't mean any harm by it. I just mean people who love CRTs, and I get it, right? Not for me. That my eyes have been ruined by them. It's because I don't play games, and I use them properly for video, desktop publishing, and that interlace flicker killed my eyes. And we could never, now bearing in mind with the PCs, you had to hide. We didn't have that on the Amiga, so hence my eyes have been ruined. Stick a tink in it. It's dimensional computers. I don't know how. Would you have ever considered limited run second revision of the Mystics board? Right, that's a really good question. That's a very good question. I've considered it. They're too expensive, and I mean, if you look at the price, I mean, I do. It is a great board, and he did some tweaking to the audio, and he did some tweaking to the RGB. So actually, when you're going out VGA, and the audio actually really was improved. However, I don't think anyone noticed it. So my cable kits were my fitting kits with everything, including software packs, adds about 60 quid. Whereas I had to sell the Mystics for 160 quid, 170 quid, just the board. It's too damn expensive, and people who are making, they are expensive things to make in small volume. That was down to, and this is not a criticism of Edu, but he likes making all the boards, and I wanted him to get them get them manufactured by PCBWay or whoever, you know, and we could. I actually did. To be fair, I did find a supplier that make them for half the price that he was making them, which meant I could reduce the price. But the trouble is, think about it now, you can't get D10s. I got three of them. I said 5 to make it look like a lot, but I've had 3 of them and I sold. I've got 1 left. I've got 1 D10 Nano left for sale, but I'm only selling it with a kit. So if you want one of them, I'm sticking 10% on top, and you have to buy the garlic pack, right? Buy a garlic pack, you can get this, a bit of memory, and away you go. And it's actually cheaper than buying it with Mystics, and then, I don't know, don't make sense. So the answer to that is maybe if we made them, but I'm not sure if there's a massive market for it. Or there is a market, but because you can't buy the D10s. Johan Peter Dam, Google is your friend. I just found HX as a height. Oh, okay, yeah. The internal height of 97. Oh, okay, well that's interesting. Yeah, the internal height. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And actually, if you think about it, that doesn't include the rubber strip, which probably has 2 or 3 mil anyway. So it's probably getting on for 100mm inside. The only thing I will say on that, actually, bear this in mind. That's actually to the inside of the top. You've got this bar at the front, which comes down about 10 mil. So that that might actually, because I did it to the inside, but I don't. That bend is to give it the strength. It's about 10 mil, so you might not have 97. So email me. I might actually update this, and because you can see I've got it to the top, the inside, but I've got it to the top. Thinking about you can put stuff underneath it, and it will go underneath it. Interesting that. I'll have a look at that tomorrow. Okay, thanks to your clear A5. Okay, it's confused me when you initially showed it. Yeah, yeah, fair enough. Right, Johan. Before you jump in and order, do bear in mind what was his demand. That is slightly inaccurate because we got this drop now. You could put it, if it kind of goes, that's his highest point, right, at there, but it's a bit lower down at the front, shall we say, then it'll probably be okay. But if you're sliding it, it'll go possibly, if it's 97mm, it'll hit that front. Yeah, bear that in mind. I will measure that, but yeah, because I've missed that. I've only just noticed Right. Okay. So it's 9:30. I haven't had a drink. I'm gonna go and have a drink. Thanks so much for joining in. There's no more messages, I assume. If you come up with a quick message, hello Paul. I'll answer it, but otherwise, I'm gonna go. You had your chance. Thanks so much for joining in. Oh, I don't have a Tony 1000, but it was tough. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I am. Bear this in mind. That front lip is probably 10mm. Okay, bear that in mind. But it's only the front. It's just the bend. Underneath it is 97. Right. Okay, guys. I'm gonna disappear. Thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you hopefully next week. So come on with some questions next week, eh? How about that? All right. See you later.